Hi, morning everybody. I'm Mike Sharp. I do a lot of the editorial work for SunSync. I'm here with a famous person, Keith Goff, who's the CEO of SunSync. Managed to catch him at the moment in Hong Kong, where I live, before he flies off to South Africa to carry on the good business down there. And I've actually taken this opportunity to pin him down to get some of the strategies of what SunSync is doing at present and where's it going with its fantastic products.
So I hope there's not too difficult questions, Mike.
No. You know what a magnificent techie I am.
Yeah, exactly. Right, okay, let's have them.
Yeah, sure. Given that we've got now, there's been a big development in SunSync with you set up new headquarters in Liverpool and you moved to Netherlands and you've got a big development in South Africa. I want to know is what about the traditional spot where SunSync first started in Hong Kong? What is happening with this office here?
So Hong Kong and Asia still remain the head office. So Hong Kong is our head office, and we've still got our place in China, in Zhejiang. So that's absolutely, totally important to us. So the manufacturing base and our office in Zhejiang and here. We are in the process of going to develop Australia. So we've set up SunSync Australia, which will come into play within the next sort of 12 months. We'll know a lot more. As far as Asia is concerned, we do supply in Hong Kong. As you know, we're fairly well known in Hong Kong. And throughout the territory, we haven't been that strong in many of the countries at the moment. It's something we'll look at, but we still, our main focus is got to be our main market, which is Southern Africa and the United Kingdom and Europe is totally our market, and that's where we want to develop and build because there's a huge requirement. You know, in South Africa with load shedding, power cuts. And the UK with UK don't do power cuts; they just put the prices up, so it's totally ridiculous, and nobody can afford it. And people don't realise, and it's not funny because it's absolutely serious matter because it's ridiculous, and I don't know how people. It worries the life out of me. I know we're in the business of batteries and storage, but quite frankly, the cost of fuel in the UK is absolutely ridiculous, and even myself, and I worry about my own family, so we're totally focused on that side of it.
Yes. And
hopefully we'll introduce products that will go more for social housing and give the benefits for every single person.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, as we know, the industry's been moving on since we sort of kicked off the solar power projects in Hong Kong. Can you just cover the developments now in solar panels and in batteries, how they developed over the last 5 years and how that's going to reflect and help the customer?
Well, as everybody knows, solar panels have not just dropped in price, but they've plummeted. The prices have absolutely plummeted. And 5 years ago, there was a bit of a solar boom in Europe, and a lot of people tried to do it, but it didn't really make sense economically. But now, first of all, panels themselves, you're crazy not to put panels on, in the UK or Southern Africa. Okay, UK, we get amazing sunshine, average of 1.5 sun hours a day compared to Southern Africa or Hong Kong, which is 5 sun hours a day. So we don't get much sun. But it is free power and absolutely should use them. It's free. And also at the moment there's some tax incentives in the UK to put solar panels. So it's absolutely, as far as batteries are concerned, as solar panels, the batteries, I know people say they're expensive, but the technology is moved on. I mean, you consider, something like a 5 kilowatt, a 5.2, 5.4 kilowatt hour battery, lithium battery's got the same energy, usable energy as maybe 8 large truck batteries, but for a fraction of the cost. And these things will last years and years and years, and that's, to me, the technology is really there. You can fit a system in your house and hopefully you'll see thick end, 20 years use out of it before it becomes, the technology moves on. And certainly I would say technology will move on then, but it's massive compared to the old AGM lead acid batteries.
So actually, if we go on to these battery sets you've got here, the lithium phosphate, what sort of lifespan would they have?
So we give if you buy one of our batteries, we give a 10-year warranty. Yeah. So they're a prismatic cell. If you buy we put the inverter and the battery together, and it's very important to have a matching pair. Because it optimizes the use. We don't recommend using non-branded batteries, so we use our branded battery with our inverter, then we'll give a 10-year warranty. But all honestly, I would expect it to last close to 20 years, 6,000 cycles. So,
Okay. I have to say, I was looking through YouTube the other day. I came across a particular material which is being raved about in some circles of solar panel manufacture, and it's called perovskite. Has Sunsync looked at this material?
no.
Okay.
I just say no.
Yeah.
We're not a solar panel maker.
Yeah.
I have seen some technologies, and I've been to the shows, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch our channels have been to the shows, and you see these ultra thin ones, and you get the silver flash type, which is an amorphous panel. So you get these silver flash panels, and I presume this technology is an amorphous type technology. And yeah, sure, there is a market, and these things are growing. The efficiencies are getting better and better. It's not our market. We're an inverter battery company, and so you asked me the question.
Yeah.
But I have seen some amazing panels, very, very thin. You can stick them on the windows. Not sure how efficient they are and how much power you're going to get out of them compared to the hype and compared to the cost.
Yeah.
Personally, for my own property, traditional silicon-based solar panels on the roof, battery, inverter, job done. Keep it simple.
Okay, good. Now, you know, as I say, we're looking to develop markets in Thailand, Philippines, and Indonesia. There are obviously in those countries, people must be wondering about the new technology. Definitely, there are AGM batteries everywhere. But what about the other two, lithium ion and lithium phosphate batteries? Are they, which would you recommend to the customers in those countries?
Absolutely, lithium phosphate, prismatic, absolutely. There's lots of new technologies emerging, and there's the old technology. You know, lithium phosphate, it works. It just works, providing you get a quality battery. There's a lot of rubbish on the market. There's a lot of not so good a quality. But if you get a good quality cell, a good quality BMS that communicates well with the inverter, because it's important that the communication, they talk, you see here battery and inverter, they talk on the CAN bus. So it's very important that these things are talking to each other. If you get something that's not talking to each other, you're going to get problems. And an AGM doesn't have a CAN bus. It doesn't talk to the battery. It doesn't. There's a lot of things it does. Because one thing you also have to understand, when they measure things like sort of state of charge, SOC, it's a very difficult measurement to make, because if you're looking at like an AGM battery, when you're charging the battery, you're charging like 14.8 volts, something like that. When you discharge it, heavily discharge, you might be dropping to 12 volts. You've got a 2 volt differential, 2.5 volt differential. And so how do you know the condition of the battery? You measure it by the voltage, but these voltages vary. When you're looking at a lithium, the BMS is much more complex, and it's measured very close to the cell, so we don't take into account the volt drops on the cables and stuff. So you're given a much more accurate measurement on the actual the state of health and the state of charge. So these things you'll see often on the thing SOC, SOH, and they're very important things. And yeah, all I can say is use a quality battery. Don't buy cheap batteries.
Okay, great, that's good.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah, sure, sorry. Go on, yeah.
On our we do list. It's not all Sunsync batteries, of course. We list a lot of batteries. So we stick with, there are very, very good batteries. Solar MD, Freedom One. There's many good batteries. I can't, I'm going to list them all. I'm going to get told off for not listing every battery, but there are an awful lot of very, very good batteries on the market, and so we do list them on our website and our instruction manual. So if you're using one of our investors, please try to stick to one of the major brands.
Good. Okay. Staying on the subject, of development in Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand. I suppose the average size rural house, and I have to say rural because it's where a lot of them are off mains. What is sort of recommended size of system that people would put in?
As much as you can put on your roof. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, Hong Kong don't do storage. These things do not sell in Hong Kong houses, because Hong Kong has an amazing export tariff. So it's $5 per kilowatt hour you produce. And so it's ridiculous. We're talking $5. What's that in? That's like, convert it into rand. It's like 10 rand per kilowatt hour you produce off your array. You got 5 sun hours then you don't. Why need storage? You don't, because it's and all you want to do is put as big an array as you could possibly fit on your roof. I don't know the regulations in Indonesia or Philippines and other countries. I don't know. We've not followed. We do know Hong Kong. I mean, there's some of the countries that we're operating in, because every country has different local regulations. But all I can say is always put as big a array as you can possibly fit. And that's with everything. If you go in the UK, if you go in Southern Africa, everywhere, bigger the better, because it's free. They're not going to tax the sun, not yet anyway.
Okay. When I was watching, again, something I watched on Netflix the other day, I was noticing that in Puerto Rico, during recovery of the after one of the hurricanes that went through, they'd built solar systems in, and each house bought in. They put the solar panel on each of their houses, but they linked them together. So if somebody, the fact is, it wasn't just like a 2 kilowatt on one house, it became a very large 10 kilowatt system because other people had it on their houses.
Exactly. We've seen this in lots of applications, and I done a video in the UK with Dr. Ian Shivers, his company, and he actually done a system exactly that. He put micro inverters on all the roofs in his housing estate, brought it together in a substation on the entrance of the housing estate, where he could capture and regulate the power, and that way it would reduce everybody's electricity bill. So it works. There are software, there are technologies about. We've got one of our other videos on YouTube shows it, so it's definitely worth looking at. And yes, you're correct. It's for us, we don't write the software, we don't do that integration, but there are a lot of companies that do it. So 100%, you're right. It's a future. And I see some of these places in Africa, some of these housing estates, gated communities, and gated communities around the world. And I think this is absolutely right. I'll put a link to, and I put a link to Ian's website. It's definitely worth following it up.
Okay, if there are any businesses that want to start up